as an action step process thing, I'd like for each of you just to quickly share one thing that needs to happen next. So if we had to wrap up this conversation and put together a list of tasks going forward that need to happen, what is your one thing that you think needs to happen so we can create the future for the film and production industry in South Africa? So I'm going to start with you, Michael, and then I'll go to Bertrand and then Leon. So you don't have to wait for me to come back in. You can just go in that sequence. Michael, your one thing?
Yeah, basically, Department of Trade and Industry rebate, if we could just get that so certain and so consistent that we never have to worry about it, that there's no drama, we don't have to think about bankruptcy or stress, because it's delivered in a very, very vanilla and very administratively normal manner. That's my biggest transformation.
Perfect. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, well, I'll pick one card in the pack, because obviously you have a complex situation down in South Africa. And I'd said, coming back to what I said in my introductory and what Stephen has expanded on, I think the time has come for the producers to come together and make a case for the economic value of this sector to the South African economy, and to demonstrate the need for an enabling copyright legislative framework, which, as Stephen described, is we're pretty far from this kind of outcome yet. I think there's a tendency for lawmakers the world over at the moment to fetishize certain aspects of this, and to fetishize, for example, the plight of individual talent, and to refuse to look at our industry as an ecosystem. And I think it's very much focused on dispositions that are about sharing the revenue from film and television, but not really asking the question of how these revenues are made in the first place. And back to Stephen's point about how difficult it is actually to bring a film to profit. So that would be my choice.
Thank you, Leon.
Thanks. Yeah, I would just echo the comments that were made about the opportunity that South Africa has, both economically and culturally. There's, as other panelists have said, there's a very significant talent base and base of expertise there, and I think it's important to understand that this is a global growth industry and provides an opportunity, to create jobs and create economic impact. And one of the key pillars in achieving that is having, as Bertrand says, a legislative framework that is stable and that works for the industry, and that would include obviously incentives as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Coming into our studio for our panelists, we'll start with you, Stephen, and then come through this way. What is your one thing, Stephen? Just one thing.
Only one. Yes. So I would say, government can only legislate as well as it understands your sector and your subsector. And in the film industry, we've seen that there's so many different industries, and the next panel, the producers are going to illuminate that even more. But I would like to see more of a, let's call it a call to arms in the producers community to say, let's put our differences aside, where the differences, associations have differences, may have differences. Let's actually see that when we stand together and engage government, we're more effective. Let's understand that we need to find a solution that doesn't benefit one or two stakeholders, but everyone. And I love the comments made so far about the need for a business case, the need for more of an economic argument. The time whenever you've got discussions on copyright, you quite quickly have people bringing ideological, commercially untested arguments. The time for that is over. The time for that is over now, especially when we're in this dire economic state, and the massive promise that this industry holds to actually lift not only the film sector but the country out of that. It's almost like a national duty for us all to get it right. And people like Safiso needs to be in these conversations as well, with film producers, economists, film producers, government, and experts, filmmakers like Layla, who can actually say, this is what it takes to bring the the productions here. This is how much investment I can bring if you help us with incentives, with production funding, etc. So it's going to take a collaborative effort, but the good news is we can do it.
We definitely can do it. The man who's putting together the economic arguments. Cecil, what's your one thing?
Sure. Just a quick response also to the example Prof made about the 30% BEE requirement on the likes of Netflix. We've actually seen government respond to a similar challenge in automotive, and eventually they realized that a BMW won't adhere to a 30% BEE requirement in a localized context. And what they did is that actually they did the right thing, which was actually saying, well, we need original automotive part makers to be localized, to service your dealerships, etc. And that now was the real transformation. And so I think what it means is that there is innovation in the way in which we think about transformation sometimes that can be built into the legislative frameworks. But quickly, I think for me, the real opportunity then is localization of trade, right? We've got the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement, and what does it mean for us to truly take advantage of the opportunities that presents, and to truly inbreed a truly African creative and cultural industries?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Justine?
I would get them all in a room for a very long time. Seriously, at
Just
least
lock
a
the
week.
door. Yeah.
Lock the door. We need the best people, the best producers, the best lawyers, all the right government people. So because they all say yes, but. Everyone needs to be together with a stake in this to fix it once and for all. If we don't fix it once and for all, the future's going to look like the last the last 10 years have done. All in a room, all together, committed to fixing it.
100%. Layla, your one thing?
I 100% agree with that. I think there's a disconnect. I think that's the most frustrating thing between producers themselves, between the industry, between government, between all the stakeholders. We're not all on the same page. And I think it's very frustrating when you are struggling with something but you don't know who to articulate it to. And I think that's what this sector really has been. It's like we can't fix anything because nobody understands each other or understands the bigger picture. So yes, all in a room. I'm tired of having no limbs.
Definitely. We want to make sure that you have a leg to stand on. Thank you so much to our panelists joining us virtually, and to our in-studio panelists for sharing your insights. Really great topics, great comments, great points. And I really would encourage further conversation beyond this. And I think the conversation needs to happen with the people that sit outside this room, because you guys are constantly having these conversations in your workplace. So to really have the right kind of engagement that we need to make the transformation, to make it stick. So thank you so much. That's our wrap up on our first panel discussion, A Vision for the Future.